All right, back for our final full segment here on Open Line. Gosh, time is just ripping by. Thanks to all of the callers and our terrific guest tonight from Vanderbilt University, Kelly Goldsmith. And Kelly, before I forget and get to the calls, are you still teaching classes? How is that working?
I am still teaching classes. So I teach a full-time MBA class, and I teach a class in our Master's of Marketing program, and it's marketing strategy. And you've got my green screen here. I teach it from my cell phone. I've got like 2 different monitors. So it's actually, the distance learning piece has been going better than I would have thought, given I'd never initiated a Zoom call ever in my life. I've been on the receiving end, but never the sending end. So it's going better than I thought it would by far.
Good.
The students have been very kind. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely, I have to have a kind of a temporary studio set up at home just in case there comes a day when I need to be at home, and I've had to have my kids help me set it all up for sure.
Oh,
all right, one of our regular callers, well known in the community, is Reverend Enoch Fuzz. Reverend, good to hear from you. You are on.
You're pretty popular tonight.
Yes.
I got a couple real doomsday questions. I'm going to stay positive like she wants to. But one of my members many years ago told me, and I embraced it, she said, Reverend, people buy what they want and beg for what they need. And I kind of embraced it. It sounded cute until one day, I reassessed that and saw that these people, even if they bought what they needed, they wouldn't have, even if they don't have enough to buy what they need. Yeah. They don't have enough to pay for the stuff that they need, really, at the incomes that I was seeing people living with. And I want to say that I'm not really happy about how Nashville government is handling like the tornado damage, because I'm seeing so many people left out and not being advised and counseled right. And I just today got 30 text messages from people asking for food. So we know how devastating this is. And I've heard that the food depravity number has maybe doubled. You know, I put it's at 20%, and I said maybe it's 30, but I heard it was as much as 40%. And we've seen the stories of hunger across America. I want to ask you to find, it's going to be good, it's going to be okay. But I heard that policy guy say you pick somewhere in between. So how would you describe, because I'm nervous about that, how long can we continue? It's been, my church shut down like 1st of March, the second Sunday in March, and here we are at the end of April. How long can we continue like that? But what I'm asking is, give us a real thought on what would be the middle grade. You're saying everything can be great and it's going to be over soon and we'll rejoice. But what would be your scenario from your expertise as, like, what would be the mid-grade that we can expect? What will happen to people by August if I've got the shutdown to the end? You understand?
Yeah. All right. Let's listen in to what Kelly has to say.
I mean, I think for people who can't afford what they need, I certainly hope the government and their communities, I think there's got to be change. And one thing I've observed in my own research and other people's research is, and it's actually cross-cultural, when people feel like they don't have enough, there's one of 2 things that can happen. One, they get depressed, they get downtrodden, they feel hopeless, and that's the worst case scenario. And I hope we can do everything in our power to help people avoid that negative scarcity trap. Because the other side, the thing that emerges, you know, with equal likelihood, is that people who feel like they don't have enough, they can really see that as a call to action, and they can get more creative. And I hope we see that at all levels. I hope we see it from the top down, that because we're going to have new problems. We've got people, like you said, who can't pay to keep the lights on. We've got plenty of people across the United States losing their jobs. They can't pay their rent. They can't take care of their health, right? This is not a sustainable situation. So if we can't use our tried and true solutions, we've got to find some new solutions and think on our feet. And I'm hoping that we see that, like I said, top down from those in leadership positions, but also when we just look at how we're living in our own day. This is not the time for us to kick back and hope other people are going to solve our problems. This is a time when we've got to get creative about the way that we're living. And like we were talking about before, you know, we've all got to live with less. And so what can we start cutting now? Let's get ahead of this to the extent possible. Because many of us, like you said, you know, we buy what we want, we beg for what we need. Well, you know, many of us were buying a little too much of what we wanted. And this is myself included, right? I'm not judging anybody but myself here. And so, again, I'm just hoping that this scarcity and uncertainty that we're experiencing can bring out some of that creativity in terms of how everybody responds, can bring out some of that resourcefulness, and that over time, we're not going to be able to live the way we did necessarily, but we can live in a new way that hopefully will end up being sustainable. But I agree with you, in the short run, we got to take care of each other.
Excellent. All right, let's quickly go to Ann. We just got a few minutes to go here in this segment. Ann, go ahead.
Yes, I've got 3 incredibly strong, independent daughters, and one lives in New York, and incredible child. Spent 10 months walking by herself across America, but watched New York shut down in a matter of 2 weeks.
Right.
My oldest, incredible, gone against incredible odds with medical issues and has never asked for a thing once in her entire life. Mm-hmm. But because of COVID-19, watched the hotel and industry fold, and for the first time in her life, throw in her mother's 40-year history with lupus and COVID, and now she doesn't have a job, and in a month it's all toppled, and it's not just uncertainty, it's the timing and how quickly, and it's that aspect. And
right. Let's just hold right there. Hold right there, Ann. I got to cut her off only because we've just got a little bit of time left. But she kind of talked there, Kelly, about the shock, that some people are experiencing, which we haven't talked about. Just it's been so abrupt.
Yeah. It's been crazy. And honestly, I think specifically here in Nashville, I was here too. I was hearing the tornado sirens too. They touched down about a mile from my house.
Oh, yeah.
And I was, to be honest, I'll tell you guys the truth. I didn't wake up, and I have 2 5-year-olds in the house. And I woke, and when I found out what had happened, I felt like a terrible mom that I thought, oh my gosh, what if it hit my house? I wasn't taking care of my family. So I was just starting to get on my feet and figure out, and I was lucky, one of the lucky ones, right? I didn't hit my house. I can't imagine if it had. And so, thinking about the city and recovering from that, and that kind of trauma, that collective trauma, which was so recent, and then it wasn't even a week later, it really wasn't a full week later that I learned that Vanderbilt was canceling classes because this COVID situation in the United States was...
It was a whirlwind. It was because President Trump came to visit Cookeville on that Friday after the tornadoes.
He did.
And then by the following Monday, things started to shut down, just like that. It was amazing.
Yep. It was just like that. I mean, it's really a 1-2 punch for us here in Nashville, but I'm confident that we have the strength to get some real post-traumatic growth out of this. But it's too much. I mean, it's hard. We've all got to be there for each other. We've got to be non-judgmental and be kind, because this is a lot for anybody.
Kelly, thank you so much for your time tonight. We really appreciate your insights.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. We'll be back to wrap things up right after this.